Now, before I begin, since there are some participants already who have joined, I'm sure some others will join in a little later. Let me get a quick introduction of the people who are here. Can you just switch on your videos for a bit? Can I get a quick introduction of everyone one by one? If I can start with Maureen, can I have an intro? You're muted. Pratishtha, can you just unmute her?
I've
Yeah.
unmuted
Okay.
myself
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
Hi.
Go on.
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to
Hi.
be
Good
part of
morning.
this session. I'll make a brief introduction. I have 21 years of experience as an executive assistant. I
Wow.
have now restarted as a consultant for Posh for the past
Mm-hmm.
couple of years because I
Mm-hmm.
have a legal background, and this is my second
Wow.
stint in my career.
Wow, great, fantastic, friend, fantastic. Good to hear from you. Nice, nice, very nice.
Thank
So,
you.
I hope that you will learn something new today. That's what I'm
I'm
hoping you
sure.
all will learn. So, anyway, thanks. Good introduction. Can you begin with Jyoti? Jyoti, are you there? Can I have your introduction too? Yeah, Jyoti, I'm not able to hear you. I don't think you're audible. Uh, no, no, you're still not audible. There seems to be some issue. Just have a check till then. I'll get someone else to give their intro. Sumi, are you there? Can I have your intro, please?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Hi. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm
Hi.
Sumi Bhumik
Hi.
from. Okay, I'm working in a MNC company. Just
Mm-hmm.
joined this pandemic situation in
Mm-hmm.
the month of August. So I'm
Oh,
recently
okay.
working in this
Mhm.
company.
Oh, okay. 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 Great. 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 Good to have you
Okay.
here. Rama, can we have your intro too before I can get back to Jyoti? Hello. I don't think Rama is able to hear us. Jyoti, can you begin? Let's see if your voice is audible now. Okay, I don't think she's still able to hear us. Anyone else joining in? I see someone else joining in here.
I think Merlin has just joined in.
Merlin has joined in. Yes, yes, yes. Let's wait for her. If she connects her audio, we can just quickly get her intro too. So till the audios and everything gets sorted, let me also begin to talk about something, which is entrepreneurship. Now, I think the most common phenomenon this year that I have seen, especially in situation of the pandemic, is the fact that a lot of people who were doing jobs earlier and who were probably settled in their jobs, I would say that, are slowly turning to entrepreneurship. There are lots of reasons for that. I think this year, the biggest thing that we discovered was that the security in job or any kind of job that we were thinking was there earlier is a little dicey right now. Now, it's not easy to switch over to being an entrepreneur because it's a long journey, it's a tedious journey. But yes, the biggest thing that has happened this year is that a lot of people are at least thinking about it. So I think the perception change that has happened is a big thing for people like me because I've done this for many years. And when I started, things were a little tougher than what they are today. So considering all of that, I think this transition is nice. It's a good transition. It's a welcome transition. So as we talk through a lot of the details today, I want to just say that entrepreneurship is, I can't say it's an easy transition from being into a job to becoming one. But once the transition happens, you actually become very comfortable with it. So there are lots of advantages of being entrepreneur, lots of things that might not go in your favor too. So I think lots of that we'll discuss today as we go on one by one. I am also seeing two other people who have joined. Merlin, can you hear me? Can you just unmute yourself for a bit if
Yes,
you're
yes,
able to hear me?
yes, yes.
Yeah. Can you just give me a quick introduction about yourself?
Okay. I'm Merlin, and I
Mm-hmm.
work for an IT company.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I also have my own life skill academy.
Oh, okay. Nice. Nice.
But it's basically teaching life skill for children, but who are
Mm-hmm.
in observation homes, who are like who have had conflict with the law, and they are either waiting for
Mm-hmm.
their sentence or they have been sentenced. So that is
Okay. Uh-huh.
something that I work on. So I
Oh,
am a life skill
nice.
trainer, and
Very good. Very good.
so these are the two things. So that's we are planning to start off this life skill training in schools also. So that's why.
Oh,
So until
great,
now it was
great.
not an entrepreneurial venture,
Mm-hmm.
because it was just basically it was a group of people who are free and who have studied with me. But
Okay.
now it
Okay.
is more for we are planning to make it into an entrepreneurial venture. Have
Oh,
these done in school. So that is my
nice. Nice.
thank you.
Very good. Very good. That's a very good thing you're doing. I hope that that goes on as you expect it to move on from here. I think that will be a very good thing.
Thank
So I think since most of you have given your intro, I don't know whether Jyoti is still there. Jyoti, can you unmute
Yes.
yourself and
Uh,
try once again? Yeah.
yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're audible now. Yes,
Oh,
go
okay,
on.
okay,
Go on.
okay. So I work as an HR professional for a
Mm-hmm.
product-based company,
Okay.
and I did take sabbatical about 2 years back, and that was for about 2 years. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, I again got back into the corporate. So that's the brief background.
Okay. Okay. Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So I think now that we all have given our intros, let's begin with what we want to do here today. I'm going to quickly share my screen and then we'll take it from there. So, yeah. Once you're all able to see my screen, just give me a yes in the chat window if you can. Okay. Yes. Thanks, Merlin. You are able to have a look at this. Okay, right. Okay, fine. So yeah, so I think most of you are able to see it. So I'm going to quickly move along. Now, as we take this whole discussion a little step further, let me also begin by giving, I can't say an intro. I think my intro has already been given, but I'll just tell you what helps me become a mentor or be a mentor. The reason I say it helps me is because I was not a mentor earlier. I was just an entrepreneur. I was doing my own thing in terms of design, in terms of UI, UX, in terms of training and stuff. Then, of course, things have shaped up in a certain way in my life where I have decided to share my knowledge with other people as well. Now, this has opened up a lot of avenues for me. So I connect with professionals, I connect with women like you who are restarting their careers or who are trying to uh, do something different with their lives because it is their second innings. And I think that's probably one of the biggest pluses, that I get to work with a lot of women and, of course, a lot of other entrepreneurs as well. So the fact of the matter is that the reason I mentor is because obviously I have done this over the years. It's been almost 16 to 17 years now that I have done this. And it gives me the freedom to work and choose the people basically that I want to work with. So this becomes a big plus factor. Now, as we go on doing this, I'll also tell you certain things that help other entrepreneurs, because I think entrepreneurship is a very big term as such. We do it at different levels, And as we go on with this presentation, you will probably begin to understand why I am saying it takes a lot of effort to do this. Now, the first thing is, let's begin with something a little interactive. Now, I've got two queries here, which I want you to focus on as we begin. First, do you picture yourself as an entrepreneur? It's very tough to just be an entrepreneur in your mind, but to picture yourself as one has its own advantages and disadvantages. So the first thing I want to know is whether you picture yourself as an entrepreneur, and of course, following a passion, does that excite you at all? Does it say, yes, I want to do this? Or, you know what, okay, let's see, I might do it, I might not do it. So I'll begin with the first question. Do you picture yourself as one? Can I get a yes or a no on this from some of you or most of you, I guess? Okay. I'm getting a few yeses here. Okay, yes. Not immediately. Okay, Jyoti says not immediately. Fine, fair enough. Okay. Okay. So I think most of you do agree that you want to do this. Jyoti says, of course, might not immediately do this, which is fine as well. Now, let me come to the other query, which is a little different, but a little generic in nature. Does following a passion excite you? Any passion, it could well be a hobby. I mean, it could well be anything. So Jyoti there says yes, which is great. What about others? Very much. Okay, Merlin, nice to know that. Very much so. Yes, Sumi says yes, which is great. Absolutely. Okay, yes, fair enough. I think this is a start. The reason I say this is a start is because every entrepreneur that actually works in any field that he or she selects or wishes to work in should have some passion for it. Otherwise, there is absolutely no point working. Just imagine or just think of it this way. If you're working, if you're doing a job, you'll be happy with that job for about what, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years at best. What happens after that? You just lose the excitement of working there. Over and over again, you lose the excitement of doing the same thing, of going to the office, of coming back from the office. So your life becomes monotonous. And I think the one good thing of being an entrepreneur is that your life will not be monotonous because there are different things to be done every day, right? So good, I got an answer to the query. I'm going to move on from there. Let's see what we have. Okay. Some key stats for you, which I think all of you should look at once, just for us to know what happens in the real world. Now, it's nice to know that in terms of how many, millions of people that find employment, a lot of it comes from businesses which are owned by women. And I think this has started to happen, I think, from the past 3 years, if I'm right, because from what I have been seeing and what I have been observing, the past 3 or 4 years have been great in terms of women actually becoming entrepreneurs. And I think that's been the biggest advantage that the industry has in general, because every sector you have women entrepreneurs who are coming in. So I'm talking about food, I'm talking about different industries, I'm talking about retail, training, education. A lot of these people who are coming into this are women as of now, and that's a good thing for us. Now, 30%, as it says, India's tech workforce is female. That's pretty much well known, I think, especially in a city like Bangalore. A lot of the techies are here. So I think the best thing that can happen is that the transition that you have to do from being a technology person to being an entrepreneur might not be very tough. The reason is you might have some resources with you. You might have some time to spare in terms of putting something across. You always have weekends available. So a lot of the women tell me that if they want to do something, they'll have some time over the weekends to do that. I know that there are a lot of things that they have to manage in terms of families and stuff. But still, in terms of managing time to begin, this is probably the advantage. Being in the technology field, a lot of the other sectors don't have that advantage. Some of you who might know other people who work in these different sectors, they'll tell you that they have very different challenges, right? So I think one name that comes across as a person that I think I have followed for some time in recent years is, of course, Radhika Agarwal, who is the first person who brought in the company which is ShopClues. Now, I think ShopClues earlier was not known at all. If I'm sure a lot of you might have heard about it, but it wasn't as famous as maybe Amazon or Flipkart or all the other, retail, online retail shopping sites as we call them. But ShopClues then came along and did quite well. So even as of now, I think it's an ever improving venture and expected to do much better in the coming days. So as you can see, owned by women, run by women, and it's doing fairly well. So moving on. So why would you do this? Now, a lot of women have asked me this over and over again. Why do I do this? What do I get from being an entrepreneur? There are 4 pointers, which, as you can see on your screen, I've put across. Now, flexibility is something that goes a long way in making women good, successful entrepreneurs, because the biggest factor that comes in is they get to do what they want, but it is flexible according to how they want to do it. So, most entrepreneurs never start very big. I myself never started very big. When I started, I was just a designer. So I was just taking freelance jobs. And I think to begin with, I wouldn't say it was great money initially. But when you begin as an entrepreneur, the first 2 or 3 steps are always tough. You're not going to get the amount of money you deserve. You're not going to get the amount of recognition you deserve. But the fact is, it gives you flexibility to start. So, in terms of freedom, your own working hours, uh, being yourself in what you do, and then being successful. So if the failure comes along, it's completely yours, and if success comes along, it's completely yours. So no one is sharing the credit, as they say. So flexibility becomes a big factor. Now, the second point, which is critical in terms of the money, is because when you decide what you have to do, you also decide the price for it. So if I am freelancing as a designer, I can quote what I want for a design assignment versus anyone else. So it depends on how I deal with my clients, what I give them, the kind of value add I can provide. In terms of all of this, this becomes the biggest factor for women anyway, and this goes for all sectors. So you get what you're worth, and I think that is a very big point for you. You control what's going to happen in the future. So in terms of your job, you never have the control, and I think most of you will agree to it, at least the ones who are working. So if you know where your next promotion is coming along, in some cases it might happen, but in most cases there is no way to know that. Depends on a lot of factors, right? But in terms of being an entrepreneur, it becomes a little easier to know which way you want to go. You want to put in the resources into something, you want to invest more money into something, you don't want to do that, you want to stick to where you are today. So all these decisions are based on what you want to do. So more control over your future is a big factor for all of the entrepreneurs who are there. Following a passion, I've already put across that question to all of you, that it's very important that you only do what you like to do. Being an entrepreneur doesn't mean you do what I do, right? So let's assume that I am a mentor. It doesn't mean that everyone can be a mentor. It's not that easy to do that. But if you're good at something, you're good at educating someone, by all means do it. If you're good in cooking something, can you do something with it? Start thinking about it. There is always room for innovation in all fields. I've always believed in that. Nothing stops, right? No field, no sector is going to stop because someone didn't innovate. Someone out there is doing something. If the difference maker becomes innovation, then I think that can be carried forward anywhere. So I think these 4 pointers are the reason why someone would want to become an entrepreneur. Again, not easy as choices, but these choices can be made, right? Okay. Now, see, there are a few people who we always take inspiration from. I think over the years, I have followed a lot of entrepreneurs who have done very well in terms of being innovative with their ventures, being very selective about what they work with. Now, some of it has been successful, some of it has failed, But again, the fact that they could try it itself is an inspiration for me, because you always keep thinking you will do something, right? But you never actually put the step forward, because something out there is going to scare you. Entrepreneurship somehow becomes like a big word for people to see. They look at people meeting other people, networking, selling their products, selling their services, not knowing if you yourself could do it, right? So luckily we do have some people who have done this before. And I think let's take a look at these two women who I think are absolutely great from what I have seen so far. I've already spoken about Radhika. She's been doing great with Shop Clues. Now, the other lady, which I think most of you might know this brand, who knows Limeroad? All of you know? Can I get a quick yes or a no on this?
Yes.
I'm sure you know, right? It's really nice. I never explored their website or their portal so much before I got to know about them. And once I went there, I think it was great. So a lot of innovation happens at small to medium levels by people. But the fact is, if you are innovating, then at least do it like this, right? It's not that you don't have other sites like Limeroad or you don't have other sites like Shop Clues. But the fact is that people like them will tell or inspire other people to at least innovate at some level. Otherwise, it becomes very tough for me as a person to think like one. So take inspiration from them, just see what they have done. I also always suggest that when you're getting into something new, when you're trying something new, try to always do your research correctly. Read about other people, get to understand what other people are doing. It actually takes a lot of the tension or anything that's holding you back. It will just take that out of the mind, because more positivity is apparently better for any entrepreneur who's just making a foray into a new industry. So these two have been good and perfect examples for me, and I think now you know why. Okay, so let's come to a few things which we keep hearing, and I think this is pretty much what I keep hearing as well. In terms of entrepreneurs, I always keep hearing that they are born with it. I don't know if you have heard about that as well. I'm sure you would have. So a lot of people tell me that for anyone to be an entrepreneur, you actually have to born like one, which I don't agree with. I don't think it really matters if you're born with the trait of an entrepreneur. I was not born with one, so I can only talk about my own story. It takes a lot of effort to be one, I agree, but no one is born with it. It's not that a person just wakes up one day and he or she says that I'm an entrepreneur. It actually doesn't work like that. You have to be a little unique and different. That part I would agree with, but you don't have to be born with the trait. Okay, so always remember that. Now, whether it takes something really unique to be one, that's another thing that I have heard. People say, okay, I have to build something very nice. I have to build an app that no one has built. I have to build a platform that no one has built. Or let me come up with a product that no other person has manufactured so far. It doesn't take that also. Let me tell you very clearly, it's not about what you can invent, right? More than what you can invent, it's more about what you can innovate. Now, innovation can happen anywhere. What you're doing right now, if you just tilt it slightly to do something a little creative and different, it becomes innovation at best. So I think you can always tilt something in your favor and make it sound like an innovation. It can still work with people. It doesn't have to be an invention always. So something unique doesn't always have to be a unique product or a unique service. Remember that. It's about your perception at the end of the day. Good product is good business? No, it's not. I think that's another myth which I think a lot of people keep saying. If the product is good, it'll run. Or if the app is good, it'll run. No, it doesn't run. I have seen plenty of these technology based applications coming and going every day, right? Not all of them have been successful. There are plenty of reasons why. Not just the apps, there are a lot of ventures which have failed miserably. I remember, I can give you this as an example. I had a very good friend of mine who opened sort of a Arabian kind of a joint restaurant in somewhere in Pune, I believe. It ran very well for the first 2 or 3 months, but then it failed miserably for some reason. Now there could be multiple, reasons why it failed. It could be the service, it could be the cost, it could be the location. There are multiple factors that come in. But the fact is, anything that is good, which we call as good product or good service or whatever, is not necessarily good business. It doesn't translate into that, at least not always. Age is not a factor. This is very important for all you women who are there. A lot of times, a lot of women tell me that, okay, I think I'm past that age where I can do something new now. So I don't think that really matters. I think we are at a stage in India, especially, where entrepreneurship happens at any age. You can pick what you want to do. The only thing that matters there is that you have to be serious about your venture. If you're serious about something, it really doesn't matter what age you are at. The age thing is just a number, as the old saying goes, but it is actually true. Age is just a number. And it's actually true in terms of entrepreneurship also. So make sure that these four things, these four myths that I have told you, they actually have always been there. People keep talking about them, people keep telling me as well. A lot of times I have heard all of this, but it really isn't true. It'll never be true. So don't keep this in your mind at all. Now, let's come to a little women-centric misconceptions and notions. What are those? First things, now they always say that women have to do a lot of things, and I agree. I think there are lots of things that you guys have to manage. So you have to manage your house, you have to manage your jobs and stuff, and lots of things. So I'll probably never say that is not true. But again, after being or after becoming an entrepreneur, does it mean you will have no time left? I actually don't agree. I think time is a lot about time management more than anything else. If you are able to manage time, if you are able to know where you need to do what within a day, we always have schedulers, right? I don't know how many people use it. It surprises me to know a lot of people don't use schedulers at all. Even for normal activities. What if you started doing that, right? Get organized. It helps if you get organized. The more organized you become, the better you can manage time. It's a very simple thing. If that can happen, very well. But does it mean, or does it actually come down to this, that because I don't have time, I cannot do this? No, it's actually not true. Rather, you shouldn't let that bother you even before you start. For being an entrepreneur, does it mean that you have to be like a man? Now, I know it sounds a little laughable, but it's actually something that people think now, or some women have actually told me as well. But let me tell you this, it is not about that. It's not about your gender at the end of the day. Yes, it matters sometimes, but I wouldn't say that could be a distracting factor, or rather it shouldn't be a distracting factor. It's not about being a man or a woman. At the end of the day, it's about how well you manage what you're doing. And I think if at the end of the day, you're able to get into entrepreneurship, you're able to scale it, you're able to talk to other people, you are able to convince them of what you're doing, everything becomes easy. The initial 4 or 5 steps are always difficult. So I'm just going to stick to that as of now. You're too emotional to run a business is another thing I've heard a lot. But let me tell you something very nice. I think in terms of managing every aspect of life, including money, including time, including relationships. So these 3 things I believe are very important. I've always believed women are much better than men. Not that men don't do it, but let's be realistic. If you have to manage a lot of things, and that's, the management part comes in, I think women are way ahead of men. And I think it should be something that all of you should know going ahead. It's not about being emotional, or it's not about, thinking too much about too many things. The fact is, if you become an entrepreneur, you will have a lot more of this in your mind, right? You'll have to think about your employees. You'll have to think about, where your next paycheck is going to come from. So a lot of these things become important. But the good thing here is women know how to be practical too, right? So I think in terms of the advantages, you probably have a little more advantage. So don't let these myths come in the middle of taking that decision, is what I want to come at. What are the common challenges? Let's take a look at this. I think this is pretty interesting. Let's have a look at this one by one as it loads up. Lack of awareness, tenacity, no mentorship, and no branding. Now, although all these challenges are true, and yes, I do agree that most of these challenges exist in women entrepreneurship, very much so. But let's come to something which becomes very important here. Awareness is because we don't do enough research. Now, a lot of the people who want to begin as entrepreneurs, they don't know much about it. That is the problem, right? You don't talk to the right people. You don't know whom to talk to most of the times. You don't read enough. There are plenty of resources on the internet. I think we are very lucky that we all have phones now. We have a lot of data available to us. If we can use it wisely, there's just a lot more that we can do here. But the problem is, because we are not attentive enough, I think we don't study enough. So it becomes tough when you take the first step towards entrepreneurship. So it's very important you do the groundwork. Tenacity, yes, it's very important. Now, look, I already told you that I've spent about 16 years doing this, but it's not been easy. If you ask me, the 16 years have been easy? No, they have not been easy. They have been tough. I have had my challenges throughout the 16 years. But luckily for me, or the good thing for me is that out of that, since I persisted and I decided no matter what happens, I'm going to continue doing this, it began to change. After I think the initial 5 to 6 years, I would say, things began to shape up. So you always have to give time, right? Most people quit when they don't have to quit. That is a very, very important aspect that you have to remember. It goes for everything in life in general, I'm saying. So even if you're doing a job today, even if you want to be an entrepreneur, as we are discussing it here, it's very important that you pursue it. Think of it as a long-term solution. Nothing is short-term. If you think only for today and tomorrow, then don't expect a lot of success. You have to think of day after tomorrow as well. So it's always the long-term thinking that helps. The tenacity has to be there. If you cannot pursue something for a long time, it will never be successful. So I think it's something that as a challenge exists and you have to remember it. Mentorship is a big thing. I know a lot of people, a lot of women, not just women, I think generally in terms of professionals, working professionals that I have met, very few have mentors. Very few have people who they talk to, Now, mentors are not just people like me. Forget about me. I'm not talking about myself here. Mentors can be from any sector. They can be from any field. The fact is, they tell you where you have been wrong and where the corrective measures can begin. But the problem is that most of us do not have mentors, right? Let me do this, okay? Quick question for all of you. Do any of you have mentors? Just put in yes or no in the chat. Let me see how many of you do have mentor. Let's see. Yes or no quickly in the chat. Yes. Okay. Merlin, yes. Very nice to know that. Jyoti says yes. Okay. What about others? Okay. Sumi says no, she doesn't have one. Okay. Initially. Okay. Maureen says initially she had. Okay. Fine. Anyone else left? Okay, I'm going to go with those answers right now. So this is the thing, right? Now, I'll tell you how it helps of, just the fact that if someone is there, a mentor doesn't tell you how to do business. Let me tell you this again. That's not a mentor's job. A mentor's job is to tell you what can suit you best. The fact remains that a lot of things that we know might not be entirely correct, isn't it? I also had a mentor. It's not that I am without a mentor. There was a time when I started off, I too had a mentor. I knew whom I could go to ask questions, to raise queries, to just say, you know what, I need some help with this, and can you just tell me what I should do here? The advice matters because these people have been there, done that. And I think if you don't have one right now, if you think you need help with something, get into a habit of talking to people, get into a habit of becoming more communicative. It helps if you can do that. Not just if you become an entrepreneur tomorrow, but just in general, it helps. So think seriously on this. For what you have a mentor is completely your choice, but always have a mentor. It helps. No branding strategy is another biggest problem I have seen with a lot of women. And I think a lot of the ventures which come in, new ventures that come in, the biggest problem that they face is they don't know what to do with it. Some have great products, some have good services. Someone comes up with a great app someday, but they just don't know how to put it out in the market, right? Who is the right audience for it? How do I reach them? How do I target them? None of these questions are answered. And incidentally, for any of this, right, the branding strategy part is not an easy thing to do. There again, you need help of the right people. But how many of us ask for help? Again, being communicative helps. If you do not communicate that, okay, I need this help, I don't know what branding is, you will never know what it is. And then you end up making mistakes while marketing it, while strategizing for it. As a result, the failure ratio is more than the success ratio. So the idea here is to understand challenges. Of course, I'll always tell you how to overcome them, but make sure that you know that these challenges do exist. Moving on. Now, in terms of women, the ones that I just talked about become a little more decisive for women. Just have a look at this. The roadblocks are right in front of you. So we have a lot of barriers in terms of social barriers and comfort zones and goal settings and financial planning. I've just put them as I have seen them. Now, the idea here is the reason I'm putting this across to you is that all of these things, yes, they do exist. They are all there, but some of this can be removed, right? For example, goal setting and vision, gender bias, comfort zone, logistics, positioning, pricing difficulties, for all of these things, the more you prepare yourself before taking the first step, some of these can be eradicated in that process. Before taking the first step, that's the reason I always tell you, do a lot of research first. Know what you want to do. Talk to people in the same field. Talk to people in the same sector if you want. Get on a call with them. Get on a Zoom call with them. These days, this seems to be the biggest thing someone can do, but very interactive and very useful. Do this. The reason is if you are trying to do it, and if you do it correctly, some of this can be removed, right? See, at the end of the day, none of these challenges, you can't. So for example, you can't be in your comfort zone, right? You can't always say, okay, I'm in my comfort zone, I'll still do what I want to do. Not possible. You have to leave your comfort zone to be an entrepreneur. That's the way it's going to work. Gender bias is there. It's going to remain there. It's not as if it's going away just like that. But you have to fight it. If you don't have the tenacity to fight it, then obviously it's never going away. So the idea behind all of this is, if you plan to take a jump tomorrow, make sure that you know these things exist, but try to eradicate some of them before you step in. And it's possible to do that. I'll of course tell you how. There is a flip side to everything, and there is a flip side to this as well. For me, what I have seen over the years, I think women will definitely score a little better than men when it comes to certain aspects of life. And I think as an entrepreneur, that helps you. Let's take a look at what those aspects are. Okay, so 3 very important points which I have come across over the years. Networking, I'll first take up networking because I think it's very important that good networking happens. And if good networking happens, it results in better results as an entrepreneur. For me, women always network better than men. The reason is they would normally have the inclination to have a conversation, right? It's tough for men because men don't spend as much time doing that. Men don't spend as much time just conversing with someone, just networking with someone. It's not something that they do a lot. But women will do this. And at least with me, whatever I have seen, women do network a lot and they network well. Let me tell you that too. More tolerant, yes, absolutely. You will always be a little more tolerant than men are in terms of handling difficult situations. So in terms of handling the difficult situation as an entrepreneur, this becomes a big factor for you that will keep you in good stead. The emotional part is women, but again, women probably have the edge, is what I feel. It's always something that they have extra, right? You would always think about someone else. You would always think about that little emotional aspect that comes into the picture. But it helps. It's again a myth that a lot of people say that, being an entrepreneur, you have to be very harsh, you have to be like, very tough cookie. It's all fine, yes, you have to be, but it doesn't mean that you actually cannot have an emotional connect with people. It actually helps if you do, because being emotional also means that you will handle problems better, and I think that's a big advantage. Moving on. So in terms of the potential, I've always found that things are changing, as I've been telling you over the years. There is a slight changeover over from what we had before. So not just the numbers, because there are a lot of numbers here, and I think numbers can sometimes be deceiving. I personally don't go purely by what the stats say, but it's good to know that there is a percentage increase in how many women entrepreneurs are now more active on the scene. And that's a good thing for us, because as I said, women obviously connect with more women, and I think it's in a lot of sectors it's an untapped force, right? It's very untapped still. So if more connections happen, that means more sectors open up for women, and I think that becomes a big advantage for us, for everyone, including men for that matter. Now, one of the stats that I think is very important there is about 59% of women, right? You can see they say if you actually work, or if they actually work for themselves, then they reduce their dependency on their family and their spouse, which I think is a good thing for all women who are working. I keep saying that the switchover is always tough. The switchover from doing a job to being dependent on someone to being an entrepreneur is a very tough switch. But if the switch is made, then I think a lot of the dependencies go away. You obviously have to give it some time for that to happen, but it can happen, and that is a good thing for a lot of us. If you become an entrepreneur, you open up a lot of things for other women too. Because let's imagine this. If, as a woman, let's assume that Jyoti can today come up with a venture of her own, the first thing she's going to do is she's going to make sure that she can get any help or any advice or any interaction with her own circle, right? Which again would be women, mostly would be women. So I think it helps in terms of getting more and more people into that circle. I think someone is unmuted. Can you please all go on mute? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I think it's very important to know that it affects, or women entrepreneurship actually affects a lot of other women around them too. Good things can lead to good things. It's a very simple policy that I have. If more women get into this, they encourage more and more women to, again, just, if she can do it, I can do it too, right? That's always the case. So if that happens, then all of these numbers will start to look even more, promising for us. But last 2-3 years, I can safely tell you it has been like that. So I'll always say that's a very, very good thing. Let's make a division of the key segments which are there. Now, where you would fit in, let's see. some of you, I think, will probably get this idea. So here, in terms of how we have these key segments, let's start from scalar, urban solopreneur, urban small business owners, rural solopreneur, rural small business owners, and then agripreneurs. So these are some segments where women are actively working as of now. In terms of where we are, let's say a city like Bangalore. So I think most of the women will probably fit into the urban solopreneur. So I think a lot of these women are doing that. Uh, I've seen women who work from their home as consultants, as trainers, as lot of things that women are doing right now, which earlier was deemed to be impossible. And I think this year especially, I've seen a lot of women trying to innovate something from their homes, which again was not happening earlier. Because we had the time, right? We were all working from home, and it sort of became a blessing in disguise. Lot of the women thought that, okay, I have done this, I do this well, but I've never tried it, right? I've never sold anything outside. I've never had, I've never had an inclination to go online with something. I remember I have some, some women in the groups that I am a part of, where they've never done anything earlier, even close to being an entrepreneur, right? But this year they have done that. This year they are making an attempt to do this, and I think, again, as I keep saying, it's a very good thing for us. Again, I see someone is unmuted, so please everyone be on mute. Yeah, thank you. So one of these sector is where you will fit into, right? Again, it depends on where you are, depends on what you do. But I think all of these sectors will have their own advantages and disadvantages, but all are open sectors. Let me tell you that it depends on the stage you are at, you can fit into one of these sectors. Let's talk about the larger scope. Where do women generally prefer to work? Or which are the areas which, in terms of entrepreneurship, are doing well at this point? So I've made a very clear division. I think most of you will agree with this, depending on what you might have experienced. Beauty products, online training, fitness instructor. This has happened a lot this year. By the way, the second part of it, I've seen a lot of jump in beauty products, and I'll tell you why. Because in my home as well, my sister keeps ordering a lot of stuff which comes from different websites, right? So it's all beauty products and stuff, which I was never aware of. But there are a lot of new players in the market right now, so it's booming at this point. Food industry always booms. It's been sort of down this year, a little down this year. I'm sure that you all know the reason why, but I'm not talking about the restaurants and hotels as such as of now. There are lots of other women entrepreneurs who are into the food industry directly or indirectly. Let's assume that someone makes a lot of customized cakes, right? I'm sure all of you have seen it. Even I saw it this year. I have a lady that I know who bakes fantastic cakes, and they're all customized. Great taste, great service. She does it from her home. Everything happens over WhatsApp, over Telegram, over Facebook, very nicely managed. She hardly has any help. Let me tell you that she probably has only one or two people who work with her, and some help from her husband, of course. But apart from that, no help at all. So the good thing is that a lot of these people do it on their own, and they do it well. So I think it becomes a big advantage. Okay, I think I just skipped the slide. I'm sorry. Let me go back to it. Just a little more to discuss there. And two other things which I think are going to probably be a little upscale at, I think, in the near future, will be organic products. I don't know how many of you use the organic products, but I think a lot of people are turning towards them. So everything organic is in as of now, vegetables and groceries and stuff, doing very well. So keep an eye on all of these sectors. It might not be something from your area of interest, but these are some sectors over the years which have started to do very well. Online retail is only going to just zoom. It's just so many things to do online. Everything can be sold online these days. So I think The Amazons and the Flipkarts, all these retail websites have made it so easy for people that everything, almost everything, saris, handicrafts, God alone knows. I see just so many products on these sites, and I think it opens up such a big market for all of you. So if that is something you want to do, seriously consider this sector, because retail is going to be on the upswing very much into the future as we keep going with so many things which are coming up. There are some websites, some portals, and some innovations that I have come across over the years, and I think these are very nice. I would actually want some of you to check them out. I think most of you would know this anyway, but these have been good innovations according to me. So I've really liked the Matt Street Den. Do have a check of it once. I think it's wonderful what they are trying to do there. Nykaa, I'm sure most of you know, right? Now, this is another thing which I'm sure most of you know, because it's beauty product, right? So tell me, okay, let's do this. How many of you know Nykaa? Tell me, give me a yes or a no quickly. I'm sure most of you know. Don't lie to me here. Say yes or a no. Yes, okay. I think I'm going to get a lot of yeses here on this, right? Yes, yes. See, everyone knows. Everyone knows, right? So that's great. Now, I'll tell you how I know it. I was not knowing this. Let me tell you very, very frankly, I was not knowing this. The reason I got to know this was that in terms of this whole pandemic thing, everything is getting ordered online, and my sister would order something, and it would just come one day, and she would say, okay, a parcel is coming, just pick it up. So I would be the collection boy at the door, and there was someone who would probably deliver it. So all I kept seeing was boxes which came, and then it just told me, just what is this exactly. That's what led me to see what this brand was, and again, very nicely done. So the idea behind everything is all the innovations that happen probably happen at a very minute scale to begin with. No one imagines something to be very big, right? It's always a small start. It's a small minute start, but it can become something very big. So my simple point is, if you are ready to innovate, just think what you can innovate, and I think it probably has a big, huge market out there. So I think the thinking begins today. I have these two people that I know personally, and I think that's the reason I'm putting this out to you. I wanted them to join here today, but I think unfortunately they were not able to do that. Let me tell you something about these two ladies. I know them personally. I have met Prachi, who's running a venture which is known as the Green Mantra store in Bangalore. Some of you might have heard. If not, I'll tell you what the venture is. So this lady, I've met her, I think, probably a year and a half back in one of our business forum meetings. And she came across as a very dynamic personality. I remember the first chat I had with her, and she was so passionately talking about this Green Mantra store, where you get a lot of organic products, you get a lot of sustainable lifestyle products which they have done beautifully. And all this whole venture is run by ladies, right? There are three of them who run this, and they do a very fine job of doing that. This year has been tough on them, but let me tell you this, even this year they have been persistent throughout. Right from the time that they couldn't do deliveries to anyone because of the lockdown that happened, they still persisted. They kept doing this. They are still doing it. They went ahead and partnered with another company also, which happened, I think, just 2 or 3 months back. I have been fortunate enough to talk to Prachi on and off. Whenever I get time, I talk to her. Whatever advice I could give from my end, I have done that. The good thing is she's always been very positive about, no matter how it is, I'm still going to do it. And I think this is probably the example of tenacity I can give you guys. It's not easy once you get into a venture, especially this year has been very tough. But people like her tell you that it's possible. It's still possible to do that, but your effort shouldn't stop. The second example, which is down below, is another girl that I know personally. I know her very well. She came to me as a rookie who didn't know anything. She's herself a fantastic cook. She makes amazing food, right? Whenever I've she's made amazing food. I had just told her, get on Instagram. You're not doing enough. You're not promoting yourself enough. The good thing is, the moment she started doing that seriously, organically she has skyrocketed. She has absolutely killed it on Instagram. If any of you want to follow her, I'll definitely give you all the link to her account. Please go there and see the kind of work she does. She is now getting a lot of offers for collaborations. A lot of restaurants have called her, a lot of the photographers have called her just to collaborate. The reason, she has been persistent with whatever she is offering there. These two examples I purposely wanted to give you all. The reason for that is, it's very close to what I have seen, right? These are the women who make the difference. For me, it's look, the way we see it, it could be very small. Like being popular on Instagram could be nothing. But it's very important to know where it takes, right? From just a person who was on Instagram doing nothing much to a person who is doing very well there now. So I think the chart that goes up, shows you how far you can go. So remember that it's possible because you are persistent, right? Before you begin, now I think this is extremely important for all of you. Before you begin, or it comes to your mind that you want to do this, let's ask yourself these questions. I've just put this in front of you. Keep this in your mind. The next moment you decide, I want to be someone on my own. What are the skills that you have? Everyone has few unique skills. Not everyone is the same. I keep saying this. I can be a mentor, not that you can. You could be someone else, right? You could be an Instagram star, or you could be in the IT sector developing an app that could help someone. So think what skills can help you. Now, whether it can be a business model, tough to know. But until you think on it, it's even hard to imagine if something can happen. So start thinking whether all of this can actually turn into a business. Is there a niche? Now, when I talk about innovation, I also talk about the niche. It's very important that you create something that can become a niche in the market. It cannot just be that you put something out and expect the results to come in. If there is something unique and has a niche in the market, it obviously works very well. So think on these lines before you take the jump. Can you start on your own? It's again, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Let me tell you this very clearly. So if you want to start, if you have the inclination to begin, just think whether it is for you. If the answer is yes, then most certainly you can. Let's begin this way. I'm just giving you pointers which I think are very important here. These are some things that I have done myself as an entrepreneur, and this is probably going to help you if you decide to take the jump in tomorrow. Networking will always remain critical for you. The more you talk to people, as I keep saying, the more opportunities you open up. The idea of being an entrepreneur should also be to solve a problem, right? It's not about what I can do as an entrepreneur. I can be very good in terms of my designs, but unless and until I can make a design that solves a problem, or unless and until I can be a mentor that can solve a problem, it really doesn't work otherwise. So try to do that if you're taking a step. You have to be decisive. There are lots of people that I have seen, mostly women as well, unfortunately, who are not decisive about their decision making. They are here today and then they are there tomorrow. It doesn't help. For anything you want to do in life, and this is a very general advice that I can give you, try to be decisive in it. You will take one decision and you will face the consequences. Either ways, right? The good and the bad, it's going to come. But at least have the decisiveness to do that. If that decisiveness comes, I think it becomes a very good thing for you to then just sit back, relax, and say, you know what, I tried. If it worked, it worked. If it doesn't, well, it doesn't. But at least you were decisive. You must always have your goals and focus on them. Again, something I have not seen. A lot of the times, the focus is missing. Someone does it for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, or a year, and then they just want to leave it. The reason they want to leave it is because, I don't think I can do this anymore. So if you feel that you are not focused enough, then this is not for you. But if you feel you can focus, if you can put in the effort, then this is the way forward. And lastly, you can always find a mentor. It's not about finding a mentor for a specific goal only, but for anything out there, it's always okay to find one, because you will have a lot of queries, because you will have a lot of things to do. Always have a mentor, ask people. It's easy to find answers to these days, especially. Now, some of the solutions that I can tell you as we go towards the end now is, of course, think like a businesswoman. It's very important that you start thinking like an entrepreneur first to become one. If you cannot think like one, then it is very difficult to make a transition into that. So that's the first, part where you actually start. You have to, as I said, if you have a lot of connections, you have a larger network, when you become an entrepreneur, start using it well. Everyone has a circle, right? Even I have a circle. I'll probably have lots of friends and of colleagues and lots of people who know me on LinkedIn. These are some of the people who can spread the word about what I do. And that's the start that I have. And that's the start that I need. Manage your time well. No matter what you do, become more organized. The time management part is also an advice that I give generally to everyone. It's not just about being an entrepreneur. Managing time, and if you manage it well, can be fantastic for you overall. It really doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or not. It's very important you support other women too, because women, as I keep saying, have the larger network. So if you become one, you always encourage other people to also take up the challenge. And this works very well for all women. So always try to do that. Learn to delegate things. You even, let's assume you take a jump as an entrepreneur. Don't try to do everything yourself. It's not always. I've seen women who struggle with house and with with people, with kids, and even handling their businesses. The reason is, a lot of the tasks that they can delegate, they do not delegate anywhere. You have resources for everything, right? Let's take an example. You want someone to do social media marketing. Now it's easier and cost effective to do it yourself, but what if you don't have time to do it? So if not, delegate it, give it to someone else, outsource it. There are lots of things which are available these days. They give you that option of doing that. So seriously consider doing that. And of course, the last point remains as it is. I've been saying this to you. Stay persistent. You have to stay persistent. You have to stay positive. The more people stay positive, the more it helps, right? So I can't emphasize that enough. These are some programs which are available for any one of you who wants to take it up. Of course, to be very frank with you, I wouldn't say that only these programs help. So these are the very basic ones which are available. But my advice to you is go skill wise. So if you want to do something in a certain field, try to reskill yourself accordingly. So let's assume that you want to do something in social media, like becomes a big influencer on Instagram. The first thing you have to do is learn about Instagram, learn how it works, what it does. For that to happen correctly, try to make sure that you pick up something in terms of reskilling that is focused on Instagram. So these are broad programs which are there, but I would always advise you to go skill wise. If whatever you want to emphasize on in terms of a skill, pick it up, and then there are thousands of options on the internet. You have Udemy, right? Udemy is popular. You have LinkedIn Learning. You have lots of other options which are there. So pick with your skills. It always helps, because going broadly will have its own, again, disadvantages too. So always have whatever you want to do as the prime point of discussion. As I close this, let me give you certain tips which have come in very handy for me. It's very important that you get yourself recognized. One must always know that, okay, this guy can do this well. The word spreads very quickly. So the same thing happens for any entrepreneur. If I get to know that this girl is a good designer, or she's beautiful on Instagram, she does fantastic work, there are more chances I would work with you, right? So keep this in your mind when you actually have the inclination to be an entrepreneur. push yourself hard and make sure that you get yourself recognized. It's not about the awards or something. I'm not talking about that. Just being recognized for what you are is important. It's very important to be fearless. Passionate is fine. I think we all are passionate about our work, but it's very important to be fearless, because the moment the fear part hits you, you cannot take the next step. Again, that is something I have known over the years as I've done that. Every step is tough. For me to become a mentor was tough initially, because I didn't know what to do with, being a mentor. When I had my first one-to-one interaction, I was actually very nervous. I didn't know if that is going to work for me. But if I didn't do it, I would never know. So this comes in very handy to just push yourself that bit more. It always helps if you do that. It's always also important to believe in yourself first. It's no one else is going to do that for you. I have never seen people just coming and saying that, you know what, you do this very, very well, we believe in you. No one would say this, right? It's always important that you do it yourself. You say, okay, you know what, this is something I want to do. I'm very passionate about it. Just begin at a small level, but begin. It's only the start that matters. I think the journey is very long, but I think if the start is good, most of these things will take care of themselves. I want to just wind up with these two quotes, which I find very, very useful for all of you. I think for me, more than just putting out these quotes, I would actually say that for all the aspects which are there in entrepreneurship, the biggest factor that comes in is the passion for it. That is very important. The second part is being fearless, because you always have to make sure that you take the first step. The third part, which is extremely important, is staying communicative. I think most of us go wrong in the third part. If you're not communicative enough, there are chances you will not reach people. And I think it goes for everything that you do. So if you are communicative enough, it becomes easy, right? So make it easy for yourself. It's very important to do that. And as I wind up, I'm just going to tell you this, because it's critical for me to tell you this. For any queries that you might have with respect to this session or otherwise, I welcome any of you to get in touch with me. It's very easy to do this. You can always just pick up the phone and call me, WhatsApp me, whatever it is that suits you. I think the interaction part never ends. So I think interaction should always stay at the top of whatever you want to do as an entrepreneur. For me to do this today was just to tell you that it's a possibility. Whether it is a possibility for you actually depends on you more than anyone else. So I think it's a decision that at the end of the day, you will all have. I'm just going to stop sharing the screen for a bit. Yeah. So just very quickly, does anyone have any questions so that I can just quickly take them off, if at all any of you have them? The chat window is open, by the way. Thanks, Maureen, for your message, by the way.
I would like to ask a question. Pratishta here.
Go on, yeah.
Yeah, so this is just to know, like, if someone has never worked before, okay, how do they start exploring opportunities for investing in their own business?
So give me an example of anything like this. You're saying no, someone who has not worked before at all, is it? Okay, so let's assume that you give me an example of a venture that you have in mind. Then I'll tell you. Let's give me an example of it, so I can better explain this to you.
No, it's just a general question. So somebody, like, say, a friend's mother that I know, she has always wanted to work. Okay. And due to certain reasons after marriage, she had to probably take care more of the family, and you know, so she was never able to fulfill that wish of hers to work.
Okay.
Right now that her children are all settled and everyone's taken care of, she can still venture into something.
Yes, she can still venture into something, but the start now for people like her, the start is obviously going to be to begin by being more active, at least on the social media platforms first, right? To to know what can be done. At the end of the day, as I keep saying, you have to talk to someone to know what you can do, right? There could be something she's very good at. She could be a good writer, right? From what I can guess. She could be a fantastic cook for all I know. Now, whether these things can be pursued as a business, she might reskill or she might just skill herself to suit what she wants to do and do it. But before all of this begins, a bit of networking is necessary, because we are completely off the charts, right? For someone like her, I'm sure she would not be active anywhere, isn't it? Right, as of now.
True.
So for her to do this, she has to first be in the game, as they say. Try to connect to a few people, connect to like-minded individuals, connect to other entrepreneurs, connect to other women first who have done this before, just to ask them, you have done this, how have you done it? Can I do it as well, right? Take a few pointers, take a few tips, and then sit quietly and think what can be done. At least the passion part will be clear. Then of course exploring different fields and all opens up gradually, one by one.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
If anyone has more questions, you can unmute and ask, or you can put it down in chat, please.
Yes. So we'll roughly give it about 5 minutes if any of you have queries. But let me tell you this as well. If for any elaborate queries, I'm always available. So you can always take it offline with me. I have no issues. For any generic queries, we can always take it up right now. Thanks, Maureen, by the way, for your message. It means a lot. Thank you that you've enjoyed the session. Good to know that.
Hi, I have a quick question. This is Marlin.
Yes, Marlin. Go on.
Very often, when we are an entrepreneur or when we are on a service in a service industry, it's often considered like, most of the things are free. And how do you change the mindset? Because, mostly people think, yeah, it is free. Like you said, mentoring, it's free. That's something like, that's a mindset that people have all the time.
Yes.
And how did you, because it's interesting for me because I've always worked free. And now to fund my free, I have to start working. That's why I'm there in this.
Yes.
I told you that we are
Yes.
doing life skill training for a lot of children in Chennai.
Yeah.
And now we need funding, and we don't want to run behind sponsors. So that's why we are starting our own, for private schools, which we will definitely charge. But again, the first thing that surprised me was people were surprised that we are charging, that how do you break that mindset, when you're an entrepreneur, especially in service? There are a lot of people who ask that. So how do you change that mindset?
So yeah, I think it's a very good question. Actually, I do agree that there is a mindset that something like mentoring is always supposed to be free, right? And I think I've had a lot of it in especially in the past 2-3 years. But let me tell you something. See, it most of the times it comes down to how you make it sound, right? See, when I say I'm a mentor, I always tell people, you know what? Let's do this. If you want to get into mentoring, let's have a chat first, right? My theory of doing this is give them something which probably makes them feel comfortable, right? You don't always sell a product first up to people. Let's look at the process of how this happens. If someone is selling you a product, they'll probably advertise it to you 2 or 3 times before they actually sell it to you. Do you agree, Merlin?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So this is the part where we fail. We always say, okay, I do mentoring. Okay, so mentoring essentially is free. That is the first thing that comes to their mind. You have to first convince them that mentoring is a process, right? It takes some efforts from my side to do this for you. So if this is free, then this is probably not free, right? It is about where the value add happens. For me, I convince people by telling them this is the value. So let's say A is a value and B is a value plus. You understand? So for A plus, you have to pay, but for A, it is free. Correct? So my first call with everyone is free. I don't charge anyone for my first call. Even when I interact with people after my sessions are done, let's assume I'm mentoring someone. My sessions are done. Everything is over. They still stay connected with me on WhatsApp, on calls, and I don't charge for any of that, right? My interaction at a basic level is always free. But when it comes to the critical aspects of life, You cannot have that mindset of, being think of a thought process that this is free, because again it comes down to us. I think we don't convince people enough.
Yeah.
If you put them in the mindset first, they'll always be in that mindset only, that this is free. So give them the A for free, but charge for the A plus. Remember that. And talk in those terms, because it helps. If you just begin talking with, say, you know what, okay, if you think it is free, I also think it is free, then it is never going to work, unfortunately.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Most welcome. Yeah, yeah. So, okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you, Maureen. Thanks a lot for joining in. Thanks a lot. And yes, I'll wait to connect with you very soon. Does any other person have any question? Otherwise, we'll wind up for today. I think we don't have any other queries.
Any basic qualifications to be an entrepreneur?
No. Luckily, no. you can be one with any qualification that you have. More than the qualification, I'll tell you one thing. That's the reason I was I was very upfront and specific when it came to skilling yourself, right? So the programs that I gave you, or the courses that I was talking about, is anyone probably can take up one day. But my first advice to people who want to get into this is, skill in the area where you feel it is very important for you to skill in. Don't go broad, go specific. So if you want to do something on social media, learn something on social media. Get trained from anywhere. It doesn't matter from where you get trained, because at the end of the day, entrepreneurs will learn as the journey goes by. I am the perfect example in front of you. I was not a mentor before. You think I've learned how to do mentoring? I have learned it, but I've learned it in the process. Okay. So for me, being a mentor happened in that process. Those all the years that I've seen, I've interacted with other people, pushed me towards mentoring, right? So the transition was this way. There is nothing that you need to get started, except you must be focused on what you want to do. So pick a skill or pick an area first, pick a sector, and then you can go towards it. The skilling in the right areas is very important. So don't go broad, go specific, is my answer. Thank you, Merlin. I just saw your message. Thanks a lot. Any more questions for now? No, I think, Pratishtha, I think I don't see any other queries as of now here. Thank you, Komal. Thank you. Thanks a lot that you enjoyed the session.
Omkar, I've just received a question. So I have a technical background and experience of 8 years. I'm apprehensive about restarting as an entrepreneur. Please suggest what I should do.
Pratishtha, I just lost your voice in the middle. Can you just repeat that question for me?
Yes. I have a technical background and an experience of 8 years.
Okay.
I think in the technical field. So I am apprehensive about restarting as an entrepreneur. Please suggest what I should do.
Okay. So technological background is what you told me, right? Correct? Have I heard that right?
Yes.
Correct? Okay. Yeah. So I think the apprehension part is obviously going to be there, because let's assume that you have worked in an area of the of just technical background, or any other sector for that matter. The apprehension is obviously there, and it has to be there. But this is the reason I always keep saying that always begin by talking to people who matter a lot in these areas. See, for me to become an entrepreneur, I have to talk to other entrepreneurs first, right? For me to just know what their experience is. Otherwise, you will stay apprehensive all the time. Whether you want to target your own sector or any other sector, there are people out there who are ready to help you out. Correct. Let's take today's example. I am here today because Jobs for Her thought that, okay, this could be something important, right? Let's put this in front of all the women. And that's the reason I'm sitting here. Otherwise, a lot of the people here who joined would still have the same apprehensions, isn't it? So for you to start, for you to begin by networking and talking to people, let's say on a platform like LinkedIn to start with. Talk to people who have done this before. Talk to other entrepreneurs, especially women who are doing this. Connect with them, have a chat with them, get on a call with them. All of this is possible today. The good thing that happened this year is a lot of people started networking more because they had time to do that. Earlier, it was very tough to even connect with one person. This year, it's become very easy. Try to do this at least so that you can get started. Get rid of the first level apprehensions. Then it becomes very easy later on. At least you will have clarity of what you want to do. But don't sit on those apprehensions. Talking and networking is the only way to get rid of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't see more questions coming in, Omkar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I think anyone can connect with me a little later. All of the contact details, I'm sure, will come in the subsequent things that we do. So anyone can just connect. Don't hesitate to connect. It's very important that you do it. The more you connect and talk to people, it becomes very easy to take the first step. So I'm just going to close this by saying that this is not an easy journey. Obviously, I think a lot of the things that I've told you would have given you an idea of it. But let's consider this. If the journey is going to be tough, it doesn't mean you don't take it, right? Let's assume that you're going to travel tomorrow. You want to explore the Himalayas. It's not going to be easy to do that. The temperatures could be very low, or you'll have breathing difficulties and stuff. But the fact that you want to do it will make you take that journey. So I think let's consider all of it like this. If you want to do this, consider the journey to be a tough one, but to be worth it, right? So every journey is tough, but if you think it's worth it, do it. This is the time to take steps. Every sector is open, every industry is open. People are more receptive to new things. This is the time to start. So if you think you have it in you, just make sure that you begin at the networking level. Talk to people, talk to individuals, talk to mentors. All your doubts shall be cleared in the time to come. This is what I would like to close with.
Thank you, Omkar. That was a
Thanks
very
a lot,
insightful session.
Thank you.
And I'm sure it has helped all of us understand how we can be better entrepreneurs from restarters. Lots of things have been cleared up today. So thank you, Omkar, and thank you all for joining in. And see you all in the next masterclass.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Take care, everyone.
Bye.